So with the Mars in Gemini, you have, it's the idea, it's the multiple ideas. Actions will follow thoughts, and I got all these ideas I'm going to do. I'll take this trip, I'll go here, I'll go this, I don't want to take this job, I'll try something else, or I'll do these 2 or 3 things. What are you going to do when you grow up? They're not going to choose, they're going to leave their options open to Mars and Gemini. Just when they got a solid job, they're going to be doing something playful on the side or doing something else on the side. Just when they're with one person, they're curious about what it would be like being with other people. They can do so many things. Not one person is going to be a perfect receptacle for it. Mars and Virgo, they're always trying to improve the way they're doing things. It's the Gemini's projective, the Virgo's reflective. It's more practical. It's always trying to improve and fix things, or touch things a little bit better, or make it a little nicer. It's trying to fix things. So it's fussy in how it does things, meticulous in the actions. Whereas Gemini is diversified and curious, not necessarily meticulous or discriminating. So when you have really discriminating, fussy action with Virgo, and someone always picky in different ways to do things, and then you have the Mars and Gemini just flippy and trying to do everything in any way, whatever I do, but not discriminating between what's better for me or what's not. There's a lot of things you can do that have unhealthy repercussions. So usually you're always pulling Mars back from the brink of trouble. And if you're trying to make the use of your strength in Mars, the people who are really successful at it, they take time to train. They build up, the Saturn, they work on it. These ones, they don't take to training that easily. They have to be doing using their energy in multiple ways. That makes challenges for relationships. If we're going to be married, we're going to have a relationship, I've still got to be out here, I have something, I can't just be staying home, I can't. So it's hard to tie down the Mars in these signs. So Mars and Sag is really the team. What's everyone doing? What's going on? What sports? What theater? What things are going on? What's fun to do? Which ways are we doing? How many ways can we do things? They're always trying to, you see it with the rulership to Jupiter, they're trying to understand, they're trying to guide their Mars into doing things. Oh, that's something I haven't done, or that's something more. I can take this further. So they're somewhat speculative with what they're doing, but that could be on many different levels in many different directions. It's hard to stay concentrated. Even in improving relationships, they'll want to prove it to more than one person, and it's hard to get to stable when you can be doing things that it's easy to be tempted into having more than one relationship. Doesn't mean you're going to. It's just that ability of putting the energy out in more than one place. But we can have many relationships. You can have kids, you can have a husband, you can have a job, you can have all these levels, and that could fulfill these mutable signs very easily. The Mars and Pisces. This adaptableness is, what should I do? What shouldn't I do? Where everybody's doing things. There's so many different things to do. Everybody's doing things different ways. Just because someone's doing it, should I do it? There's a choice. It's not discriminating. It's trying to believe, which things do I believe I should do? And as soon as you believe in one, it's going to change. There's going to be other things to do too. So it's hard to hold steady at just one thing, but it's very capable of adapting and juggling and diversifying what it's doing. This is a really good quality, but it stands out really distinct from the fixed and from the cardinal. That's why these elements, the modes, are such a wonderful category. You really see how the energy works. And each person you see will be teaching you and solidifying each of these categories. I mean, in the end, words are the lowest form of astrology. Experience, color, music, light and darkness, sound and silence. These are ways that we can really heal people with if we knew how to do it. And the colors express things better than words do. You say something's red. Well, red, it's funny that we use red for stop signs when red is the go. It's on impulse, on go. So using red as stop signs, encouraging people. It's a blatant forcing a sudden stop, but it also encourages people to get angry for stopping or to try and run the light. But then if it was a green light, people would be more calm. They wouldn't be so quick to stop. You know, and they might not see a dark blue light so well. So it's funny how these two. So when we get the elements, we have the projective and reflective. We have the cardinal, fixed, mutable. The masculine, feminine, cardinal, fixed, mutable. Before that, we had the freedom, responsibility, polarity, and those categories. Now we're coming into the element, and for each element, there's 3 signs of each element. So we have the 3 fire signs. And because it's fire, they all process in the same way. So Mars in a fire sign is going to be proud. It's going to try and burn energy. It's going to try and show off. It's going to try and, they're all projective. It's going to try and project and make things happen, especially if they're fun, especially I can win. It's going to try and do things and get away with things. It has a pride and fiery, enthusiastic element to the Mars. But each one, Mars in Aries is going to be pushing and pulsing. Mars in Leo is going to think it's the best and want to be the best. Mars in Sagittarius is going to want to do as many different things as possible or be aligned differently. But they're all still very active Mars. It's still, these fire signs encourages Mars to be energetic, not to be passive. When you take Mars in the fixed signs, Mars in the air signs, the energy is going to be intellectualized. So it's the ideas. These signs are going to act on their ideas. So Mars in Gemini is going to do whatever it thinks it feels like doing. It's own independent. It gets an independent idea. I'll try it. Ride a skateboard. Okay, I'll try to skateboard. Okay, drive a bulldozer. Okay, I'll try that. It's going to try and do anything as long as they're free to do it. Free to think for themselves and act on their own ideas. They're going to be quick to act on it. We'll have that Mars in Gemini will have a very diversified. It's mutable. It's projective. It's independent and trying to be more independent. And Mars is there. Don't tell me what to do. Don't smother me. They may be able to sleep with their hand on top of someone else, but they couldn't sleep with anybody's hand on them. It's maybe for a few minutes, but they're too restless. So the Mars in Libra, it's air sign. It's going to follow its ideas, but the ideas, it's going to act on its ideas. It's going to want to make a plan, make an idea, come out. I got a dream, I got a vision. You're the perfect person for me. I'm going to do everything for you. You're it. I'm going to do it. So it's projective. It's about relationships, about moving towards being involved. So it's almost pushing for the relationship, pushing for who could be there for me. What do I have to do for you so you can be my partner? Or do you like me so far, or do you like what I'm doing? So it's got an idea of what it wants to do, and it's directing its energy, perhaps culturally, perhaps to get attention, to be part of other people. As soon as I set a sentence for this, it's almost too small and too narrow to express it. But they still stand out from each other. At this point, we're using 3 or 4 categories underneath this that we can still talk about, that still come in on levels, on layers of this. So it's the pushy one. It's going to push to prove things to others, to make a relationship, to start a relationship. It's going to push its style of doing things. It's going to try and want to do things smoothly or nicely or well coordinated. It's not going to try and be abrupt or harsh. That's the Mars in the Libra. But Mars in Aries, which is just blatantly abrupt and doesn't care about the style so much, it rules Libra, Aries. It's detriment. It doesn't work that well in Libra, so it's not. We'll come to that. It's not going to come so easily on that. When you have the Mars in Aquarius, it's fixed thinking about the peers, about who you know, what you know, and the peer pressure is going to affect the teamwork, the peer pressure, the sense of who you know and who you don't know, or who you have to know. You're going to have a plan based on that, a logic based on that, that's going to guide your actions. And often, I think about this, so I got to do this. They're doing this, I'm going to meet them there. I'm going to go there. I'm going to do things. It's going to have a social element to it. But certainly the mental element, the fixed mental element of the air sign is going to condition that Mars, which is very different than the mutable Mars in Gemini or the driving Mars in Libra. So each of these, while they're all the same element, they could do things together easily because they're each following a plan. But still their plans are unique. There's a big difference between each. Now when we get to the water signs, these are the first of the reflective signs. These are the brooding, judgmental signs. So Mars is a judgmental sign, and the water sign is going to be very sensuous, very sensually passionate, and very emotionally magnetic around anything it does, judgmental about everything it does. So it's going to throw its energy into everything, but it's going to be super sensitive about any judgments or any reactions it gets to others. So it's not so rational, like the Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. Those are very rational Mars. Back to common sense. common sense is not determined by the Mars and the water signs. It's done by obsessions or by feelings. They act on emotions. It acts on the water. So that's emotional, sensual, and super sensitive. And because it's super sensitive, it's very judgmental. It'll act, I'm going to do this. It can act too fast, or it can be very jealous. Not sure they did this, I do that. It can be overly judgmental and brood on one's negative Mars. So it's very important for the Mars, for every Mars to be positive more than negative, or to get there. But the Mars in the water signs, they can brood more. I'll do this. I'm doing this for you, or I'm not doing this because you don't care, or you hurt me, or like the Mars can be really irrationally affected and brood as a festering jealousy or a festering point of pain. But on the other side, it can be very emotionally creative and doing things that are very emotional and really magnetic into whatever they're doing. But they're doing it because of an emotional reason, a feeling. So in Cancer, it's about personal security. The Mars in Cancer, I'm going to push to be relationships. It's going to be, it pushes its sexuality. It wants to prove its sexuality to it. But in Cancer, that's going to, if you're thinking sexually, that's going to be attracted to breasts, to nurturing, to a mother, to prove that one can have a family, and the woman at home and the mother's there, prove things to mom. Mother's going to have a strong influence. The home, family will have strong influences on what they're doing, and strong judgments about if it's not working right. That would be the nerve teasing them about if home or mom would really bring out the anger in them. In Scorpio, the most judgmental of the signs, well, all water signs are judgmental, but it's a fixed one. It tends to make a judgment and fester on it. If it gets jealous, it can hold a grudge for a long time. So it's doing things with the expectation that other people are going to be there. For me, I felt my wives, each of my wives, 3 divorces, were my soulmates, and it was a passionate obsession. We got together. By the time we slept together, we moved in, we got married. Once it was in, it was just locked in, and the energy was there. As soon as it broke away, how could they do this? How could they break away? We had the commitment. We were doing it. So my Mars was a little too strong and too controlling in that way. It tends to smother the other person, not intentionally, but it does, especially when it gets insecure. But it's judgmental, sensual, but it's tied up to the other person and how they're responding and what the trust is. So I do all sorts of things for a relationship, but I couldn't stand to be told what to do if someone wasn't trusting me. So it perhaps gets isolated more to my relationships and personal energy, and often those factors come in effect. It's hard to do something it's hard to work with people that don't like. If somebody doesn't like you, it's hard to work with them, hard to do something with them. It'll affect things. So this competitive, brooding competitiveness is the Mars and the Scorpio. It's the water side. In Pisces, it's more of a moral issue. How could you we can be bored by staying with one person. You can get guilt-ridden for being with 2 or 3 people. But there's such a diversity. There's such an adventure. Why would you settle for less? It's hard to choose. Why would you want to just get married? Why would you just tie? It's kind, but it can be overly dedicated. You can either overly dedicate to different people, or you can have people dedicated to you too much. And again, it can be smothering or complicated. By the time you have the experience with one person, it can become, if it restricts other people and you're doing other things, it's going to be oppressive, and then it'll be more complicated. But when there's a dream to do something, an adventure to go on, the Mars in Pisces is game for almost any adventure.